Right. It's a pleasure to have you on the podcast, my friend Tom, and we've got a special guest today, Operator Starsky. It's a pleasure to have you on our podcast today.
Thank you so much.
Nice to have you here.
Oh, you're welcome. And yeah, like basically, there is a situation in Ukraine, and you're based in, is it Kiev?
Yes, I'm currently in Kiev. I've been staying in Kiev and around areas of Irpin and Hostomel mainly since February 24th. And my brigade is partially here defending Kiev and Hostomel, and partially there on the east. We have our battalion tactical group working there since last year, probably.
And so, like when the the invasion took place, like where was you? Like what was you doing? Was you currently still in the military, or what was you doing something else alongside that? Or
Yeah, sure. Sure. I was there with my brigade as soon as this invasion started. I was here in Kiev. Actually, I was prepared, let's say, for this invasion on 24th of February because I've been watching media. I was analyzing messages that were coming from Russia, and I pretty much knew that something's gonna happen on February 24th. So I was prepared. I packed my bag and stuff. I turned off water and electricity at my home, and stuff like that. I think at around 4 or 5 a.m. I already got up because we had a bunch of explosions here in Kiev because Kiev was hit by Russian missiles numerous times that morning. So I was already on my way to the job. And when I was en route, I've been called from my base because we have this kind of, whenever something like this happens, we are being called by our communication center and ordered to gather at the base. So I was already on my way to base when I was called. And when I arrived, appeared that our base was also hit by Russian missile. But again, because it was a high precision Russian missile, it didn't hit anything important. So yeah, but the crater was huge.
Imagine, I can imagine the sort of adrenaline that would be going through you, when you get a call like that, because I'm sure it's something that you probably trained for. But I guess when the call comes through, I can imagine it's a whole different ball game. So you said that you knew that through like communications that this was something that was sort of in the pipeline and was sort of on the way. Was there any sort of did you do anything, I guess, in the weeks or days sort of following before the call came through? Did you change anything? Did you do anything differently to better prepare for the Russian strikes?
You see, we were preparing all the time. So it's not like we were preparing specifically for this current situation, but we were preparing for something like that to happen. For example, we had our training alarm on our base, and of course, we were defending Hostomel. My brigade was responsible for defense of Hostomel airport that was attacked that day. And we had training alarms like on 20th, 22nd, 23rd, and if attack didn't happen on February 24th, we would also have training that day. So we were preparing all the time. It's like militaries do, because it's like not we weren't preparing specifically for this to happen, but we were training to be able to react to whatever threat could appear.
Yeah. And as well, like since this has been ongoing, like I really, love your YouTube page and, the content you put out and the documentation that you have been putting out there, because I think there's a hell of a lot of misinformation that some people put out onto the media, whereas yours is legit and you're reporting as things are happening, as it's developing, and what's been going on. And you even do like Q&As and live streams, and you let people into what is going on, and you have a great sense of humor in your content as well.
Thank you so much. Well, yeah, you see, not long before this invasion, I also had my YouTube channel in Ukrainian for our Ukrainian audience, and basically it was the same. I mean, we've been talking about informational hygiene. We've been talking about Russian propaganda, because this war actually started like 8 years ago for us, for Ukrainians, with annexion of Crimea, with Russian troops in Donbass, those covert Russian troops that came without patches, that destroyed Malaysian MH17 Boeing. And of course, we had this hybrid informational warfare here in our territory as well, coming from Russia. And I've been explaining things like that to our public as well. We've had numerous fakes. Actually, I must say that I wasn't so much scared of full-scale invasion as I was scared of, this propaganda, because had Putin invest more resources, put more efforts into this informational warfare, and make us Ukrainians fight against each other, create more pro-Russian political parties, more influencers, more TV channels, and stuff like that, we would lose this war 100%. But instead of that, this idiot launched numerous missiles, and I think that those missiles hit his main weapon, his propaganda, on the first place, and that very day he lost the war.
Yeah, I think it's you've got the combat going on, haven't you? Then you've got the the war on that side of things, and you've got the war with all the propaganda and the information. There's a lot going on. I mean, I think with being in the UK, I have to be very selective, because I'll send my friend Tom links and articles to what's going on, and then we have to kind of decipher what is legit, what is real, and what's accurate, and how long was that information recorded, because things happen so quickly, don't they?
Yeah, it's all very well seeing something come through on the news, and like as you said, sending it to each other, and we both going, oh my god, but is it real? Is it staged? There definitely is that element to it. Operator, do you think Putin will now try and invest more in the information war side of things? Following on from your comment earlier, do you think he'll try and turn Ukrainians on each other more than, I assume, what he's trying to do already?
The fact is that they're spending tremendous money on Russian propaganda, on informational warfare. As of 2018, according to data from our Council for Security and Defense of Ukraine, they have spent $4 billion for external propaganda. And that's only the top of the iceberg. So you can imagine just what kind of resources they are spending for that. And that was actually very, very effective weapon, because propaganda was and remains their most powerful weapon, I would
Yeah.
say. But when I started this channel in English, I wasn't sure if I should do that at all, but I decided to try. And when I started this channel, I realized that people outside Ukraine have basically same problems like we had here in Ukraine. So they are also subject to this propaganda and fake news, and they also require some kind of guide in terms of informational hygiene, fact checking, and so on. So yeah, I think that I can also use my experience that I acquired here, working with Ukrainian audience, and hopefully help our allies, our friends from other countries.
Yeah, decent.
I also think it's pretty amazing, the courage of the Ukrainian people and how much support countries have given to Ukraine. I think especially the UK. I saw an article, we're training Ukrainian soldiers in the UK on different weapon systems and things like that. And I think it's just amazing, like the courage of yourselves and the support that is being given to yourselves. I think you guys are doing an awesome job.
Thank you. Yes, and of course it's amazing to see all that support from foreign countries. I mean, we could never like imagine that this might happen, and yeah, judging from all the support, all the people from other countries that take care of our refugees and send us humanitarian aid and train our soldiers, I think that we have never experienced anything like that ever before in our history. And I'm talking like global history. Of course, we had a lot of programs, a lot of mutual military exercise with the NATO countries. My brigade participated in a military exercise called Rapid Trident. That's an annual military exercise that we have with other NATO countries here on the territory of Ukraine. And I think we had 4 or 5 such trainings together with our allies from the UK, from Romania, Poland, and other countries. So I think that we will build some nice foundation, so to say, for this partnership that we have today. And of course, we made our foreign allies understand that we are a European country that wants to develop through partnership, through friendship, sharing, I don't know, some common values with Western world, and learn better practices from Western countries. And I think it's beautiful.
Yeah, it really is, really does. It sets that precedent for the future, I think, in terms of relationships between other countries and Ukraine. Yeah, I mean, I personally wish other countries were doing more, but can't be in charge of the world.
Yeah. And like, what is your current role at the minute, and what is like a day in your routine, day in your life like? So you get up in the morning, and what kind of does it change depending on what's happening?
Well, not really. I mean, I have to carry weapons like 24/7, but other than that, I wouldn't say so. So I'm a communications person in my brigade. I'm a press officer, and among my responsibilities are things like media monitoring, OSINT sometimes, and media relations. We are meeting a lot of press on a daily basis, and of course, we make our boys, our guys, not because there's not only boys, there are girls as well, famous because that's what they deserve. They deserve to be famous because my guys were responsible for defense of such cities as Rubizhne, Severodonetsk, and you can imagine a battalion tactical group that was fighting against most concentrated army of Russian Federation at this point for like 4 months. So it took Ukraine 1 month to liberate all of the northern Ukraine. I'm talking like Bucha, Hostomel, Irpin, Vorzel, Borodyanka, Chernihiv, and Sumy, and Kharkiv. All those territories were liberated in 1 month. And then it took 4 months for Russians to take just a couple of smaller towns by literally demolishing them using their artillery. And those towns were basically defended by not so big battalion tactical group of the National Guard, as well as a bunch of other units that worked together with us, Ukrainian armed forces, police, border guards, and of course international legion, those brave people who decided to come to Ukraine and defend democracy and free world. And yeah, I think that those guys deserve to be famous. They deserve to to be our heroes, and people deserve to know about them. So that's a big part of my job.
Do you find yourself speaking to foreign press a lot as well, or is it mostly sort of internal Ukrainian media relation type press?
Yeah, I speak a lot to foreign press like CBC, CBS, New York Times,
Nice.
Washington Post, and a lot of international news agencies. Recently, people realized that this very first combat that took place in Hostomel that morning on 24th of February, actually, it was one of the most crucial battles of this invasion. It was like a turning point in this war, and a lot of foreign press, a lot of foreign news agencies visited Hostomel, and I was honored to talk to them and tell them what happened in Hostomel and tell them about courage of Ukrainian soldiers, because Hostomel was defended by a small company, actually a company tactical group, but still, that mainly consisted of conscripts, basically kids, young 18, 19 years old guys who we don't bring them to the front lines because basically they're kids, they're not professional soldiers, but still they were well trained. They knew their weapons, they knew how to operate anti-air missiles, they knew how to operate anti-air guns, those cannons that we use, Zu-23 too, and they knew how to operate their assault rifles, of course, and they gave those Russian paratroopers a really nice fight, I would say. And we had absolutely zero losses among those guys.
Wow.
Some of them were captured, but majority of them are already exchanged. One guy was slightly wounded, but other than that, we had no casualties. And yeah, and they are amazing, and I think that they deserve to be famous as well. So we were meeting a lot of foreign press in Hostomel, and hopefully I helped a bit to to clarify what happened in Hostomel that day.
Yeah, no, it's great. Like you said, you have those strong soldiers who are well prepared, and they they know the weapon systems, they know the land. I think is a big thing. They know the area, whereas I think obviously I think a lot of the Russians probably aren't too clued up with what is where. And I heard articles where there was moving signs around and confusing the Russians, and they didn't know what way they was going or what road is
I
what.
saw that as well on the news. Yeah, confusing the Russian forces by switching signs around. Is that something you can confirm, Starsky?
Yeah, that's true. Actually, when I drive to my base, I have couple turns on my way, and those signs are still switched places, so I get lost every single time I go to my base, even despite the fact that I serve for 8 years already there. And it's true.
It's clever though. I like that. I like that.
Do you have any favorite equipment that you use, or anything that your army has, or anything your army's being given? Is there anything that you particularly like, or you able to comment
Rely
on?
on?
Yeah.
Do you mean weapons?
Yeah, any weapon systems that you particularly.
Well, I hate our Makarov handguns so much because they are so non-precise and they suck. I mean, our Makarovs, and just a second.
Gonna get some firearms on the Parrsitivity podcast.
Yeah, so
some bullets.
So basically this is a copy of PPK.
Yeah.
Walther PPK that was copied by Russian Soviet constructors, and it was not a great copy. So,
so does it jam a lot? And
it does jam from time to time, and also it's not precise. It sucks. But we have a bunch of other handguns like this Ukrainian Fort 12, Fort 14 that our guys using, and they are kind of modern. They are precise. They are good. Our recons use that handgun as well. I don't have one with me, unfortunately. I hope that I will someday. As for other weapons, I'm not a big fan of Kalashnikov, but I use this gun and I have to use it well, of course. I'm one of the better shooters in my brigade. Maybe not the best, but one of the better ones. I was first serviceman of our brigade who shot down the drone back in 2017. The problem was that it was Ukrainian drone. Yeah, but still.
That was a heck of a shot, though.
Yeah, it took me 5 rounds to shoot it down, and one of my favorite weapons, so to say, is Ukrainian BTR-3. This thing is amazing. So it has a huge firepower. It's like armored personnel carrier that has 30 millimeter automatic cannon. It has 7.62 millimeter machine gun. It has automatic grenade launcher, effective at a range of 1.7 kilometers. And it also has 2 laser-guided missiles attached to this combat module with tandem warheads, which means that they can penetrate this dynamic armor used by Russian tanks. And you can use this BTR to conquer planets. I'm not kidding. It's it's an awesome thing. I miss those
like
times.
A heck of a weapon.
Yeah. I miss those times when I had one because I was a platoon sergeant back in my days, and as a platoon sergeant, I had to be a commander of this BTR because we are basically mechanized brigade. So yeah.
That's crazy. And how did you start off in the army, if you don't mind me asking? Like, did you join as quite a young man, or was it something as you got a little bit older?
Actually, it's like I went to the army as soon as the war started. So back in 2014,
Mm-hmm.
actually, I was like in Poland, and my best friend uh, joined one of the battalions here in Ukraine, and he was captured by Russians. So I decided I should return from Poland to Ukraine and help to some kind of, release my friend.
Mm.
Uh, as soon as I arrived, he got changed, exchanged, I mean, for our captured terrorists.
Mm.
And yeah, and after like 3 days of drinking and celebrating, I joined one of Ukrainian voluntary battalions, and this is how I
Wow.
went to the front lines. Actually, it wasn't a military battalion; it was a battalion of police special force. Uh, and after like a year of service in this battalion, I decided to pass selection program to this new brigade that was created in 2015 in the National Guard. And so, yeah, I was among those lucky guys who passed this brigade because among, I think, 50 among 50 participants, only 10 were lucky enough to pass.
Wow. It's not many at all.
It was kind of hard.
I can imagine. Yeah.
It's pretty intense.
Blimey.
And
Wow.
I was just thinking, like, as well, I got a question, just thinking about, like, like, obviously, as a soldier and, the situation, your focus has to be, kind of game for what you're doing. Like, what do you do to kind of like relax, kind of like, kind of manage, say stress, that kind of thing?
First of all, we have a bunch of anti-stress techniques that are taught by our military psychologists and different volunteers, civil volunteers that visited our brigade, and they had this experience of helping people to get relieved from adrenaline stress, So there's a bunch of specific techniques. And as for non-combat stress, I mean, like everyday stress, I think that you should award yourself at least a couple of times a week, with doing something that you like eating some nice food, for example. I mean, in my age and current status, food is probably the only thing that brings me joy. But yeah, nice food, probably like, I don't know, going to the gym. I returned to my gym because it was used as a bomb shelter for like 3 months, and so it was
Wow.
closed. But now it's open back. So yeah, so I returned to my
So it's
gym.
open as a gym again now, is it?
Yeah,
That's good, isn't it? That's good.
yeah, and doing things like that, things that bring you joy and make you rest a bit from from all the stress, from everything that happens.
Yeah, definitely. You have to have that downtime, don't you, to do things for yourself and have that time.
Yeah, yeah. And for example, I'm a huge aviation enthusiast. I love things like Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. I unfortunately I don't have much time to play, but when I do, yeah, I feel so much relaxed after that.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And like, Tommy, you got any questions at all?
I think they're kind of like popping up as I go along.
Yeah.
I think as the war stopped, when Russia started shelling, obviously it made its way into the Western news pretty damn quick. And then other sort of documentaries started popping up, and one of which they were speaking about an arm of the National Guard, which was called the Azov Battalion. or the Azov Regiment. And I remember seeing a documentary about them. This was about, I think it must have been about 2 months ago now, but I haven't heard anything from them since. Are the Azov Battalion still going? Are they still part of the National Guard?
Yes, so Azov Regiment, it was regiment. Now it's in Ukraine we call them like Special Forces Group. So they belong to Special Forces of the National Guard. They are active. They have units in different regions of Ukraine, and those guys that were captured in Mariupol, it wasn't full Azov. They still have a lot of their teammates, so to say, in different regions of Ukraine. They are fighting successfully in the area of Kharkiv, Mykolaiv, Zaporizhia as well, and of course they are volunteers. They're fighting together with them, guys from Chechnya, from Georgia, Azerbaijan, and other countries. Those volunteers that come to Ukraine and join this fight.
Yeah, because I did see a few articles, and I kind of thought the same. Because like the media I was seeing was that I thought it was all held up in that iron. What's it called? The ironworks. I thought the whole kind of regiment was there.
Azov Steel.
That was it. Yeah. So like it's good to have that clarity on that they're all they are still going.
I never heard anything from them since that sort of news article came out. But yeah, no, good to hear that there's still different parts of Ukraine still going. That's good to hear.
And I saw one of your videos where you're talking about like who you are, and you talked about your dad. Like I know your dad, he has a lot of history as well. Like you talk about a bit more about what your dad did as well.
Yeah, he was a Soviet officer before I was born. Then when USSR collapsed, my dad became one of the first officers of independent Ukraine, and he did a lot to create armed forces of Ukraine as they are today. And yeah, he participated in peacekeeping missions to other countries, like countries of former Yugoslavia. He operated in Sarajevo a lot, bringing those convoys with humanitarian aids to cities that were blocked by Serbian troops. And he brought a lot of footage from those places, and I was just a small boy. I think I was like 7 years old. So I was watching all that, and yeah, I remember clearly that I would never believe that such thing can actually happen in Ukraine as well. But yeah, and basically those Serbian Chetniks, for example, those Serbian snipers that were shooting Bosnian civilians back then, a lot of them joined this war in Ukraine as well. So they joined this war on the side of Russian forces, and already in 2014, we were fighting against those Serbian mercenaries as well.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? Like the history, and like kudos, to your dad for his service and what he did. And like I was just thinking about at Chernobyl and what happened. Like I couldn't believe that some of the Russian soldiers did not know, because you talked about in your video that they didn't know about what happened there, and you said that one of the staff members there was telling them to dig deeper into the trenches, which then was going to release more radiation. What's the situation? Is it like what's the situation there in Chernobyl now? Like since is that all cleaned up now? Like what is the situation there?
Well, it's an abandoned area. in Ukraine. It's still an abandoned area, and it will remain abandoned for like hundreds of years, maybe thousands from now, because of radiation half-life, you know. Yeah, thing about those Russians was that they basically didn't know where they were. I mean, a lot of them didn't know about Chernobyl at all, because a lot of those Russian soldiers came from deep Asian part of Russia, and I'm talking about rural, wild parts of Russia, areas like Buryatia, Yakutia, you know. People still live in very, very bad conditions there. They don't have water, they use pit toilets, and stuff like that. A lot of them don't even speak Russian well, you know. So they were brought there like cannon fodder, and of course they didn't know history of that place. So that employee of Chernobyl power plant told me that when he saw those guys, those Buryats with radiation burns, he said it looked so like so unbelievable, so crazy. So yeah, and of course they not only dug trenches in that red forest. In Ukraine we call them, we call it yellow forest, or like ginger forest. So not only they dug trenches in that red forest, they also used the soil to fill the sandbags, and they used those sandbags to build their checkpoints, to build their positions.
Oh, no.
They were sleeping on those sandbags with that magic land, and they received a lot of magic as a result.
Yeah.
Jeez,
Wow,
it's
slow killer. That's crazy. But yeah, I guess you get those isolated Russian deep villages, don't you, where people aren't really living the same way we do, or what the majority of Russia would. But it sounds kind of sad that, you know, they didn't even know about the Chernobyl disaster, and just, you know, we're filling the sandbags with irradiated soil. It's quite sad actually when you think about it.
And also, you know, like with Zelensky, I think it's, you know, it's pretty incredible, you know, the work that he's been doing as well, and, you know, how he's been networking with different countries. And I know Elon Musk helped you guys out with many different things. With, is it like Starlink? He helped you like with your internet. Did you kind of think that Zelensky would, you know, do such a good job that he's doing?
As a military, I didn't discuss much, you know, efficiency of our president before as well as today. But I can say that everyone, including us, were impressed the day our president said that he doesn't need shelter, bring us weapons, you know.
I was going to mention that
yeah.
sent a shock through the West. That did. I think that was one of the least expected lines. When I heard that, I was like, "You were a legend." That was my reaction to that.
That was absolutely badass, I think. And yeah, I can say I'm proud of that. I'm so proud. So I think that he does his job, and he talks to our foreign audience as well, to our allies, to our friends. I doubt that we would have such a great support from our colleagues from all around the world if not his contribution, you know, because he did a lot for this to become possible. So yeah, I think he does great. He does great job.
And I think like as well, like from the footage I've seen online, I think do you think like this is like the kind of war we're seeing and the conflict, it's like something that we've never really seen before? And, you know, the weaponry and, you know, some of the systems being used, I've seen videos with small commercial drones flying over, and then they're being used, to do surveillance, and they're being used to do different things. Even drop, munitions from them. Like, I think it's something that we've never really seen before, and it's something that's developing, isn't it? And I think it's pretty scary when you see some of the footage, like what is possible. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it's true. And I must say that those drones, uh, they are kind of disposable. I mean, drones on this war, they are like disposable material, because we are losing a lot of them in the combat. A lot of them get jammed by Russian electronic warfare machines and stuff like that. So we constantly need more and more drones. Unfortunately, because there's simply no, no invulnerable drone nowadays. No drone that can, defend itself against electronic warfare, Russian electronic machines and stuff like that, Russian bullets and Russian anti-air missiles as well. So a lot of drones are being lost in this war, unfortunately. And I must say that Russians have a lot of those. They are using a lot of Chinese DJI drones, Mavic drones, as well as we do. But we also use different software that not sure that I can tell you much about it yet, but you will know sooner or later.
Yeah, it is incredible, isn't it? Like, the amount of things that you can use at your disposal that you would never kind of think of being used in that kind of environment. And like, as well, where do you kind of, like, how long do you kind of have an idea of how long it's going to be dragged out for? Is there a time scale you have that you kind of hope it's going to be, if that makes sense?
Right now, it ends, hopefully.
I hope it ends tomorrow.
Yeah.
I would really do. Yeah, but yeah, unfortunately, on my level, I cannot tell you
Yeah.
how many days, months, maybe years it will still take for us to be victorious. But I'm 100% sure that Ukraine and whole world is going to win this war, because Russian invaders must understand that at this point, even not directly, but the whole democratic world is fighting against their aggression. And you literally cannot defeat the whole world, no matter how hard you try. This is not the way. This is not the way any country can exist and develop and progress. Not through isolation, not through economical isolation, not through warfare against the whole world. This is not the way we do business in the civilized world nowadays.
Yeah, definitely. And sorry, Tom, do you have anything to say?
I was just gonna encapsulate what you said by saying it's an attack on freedom. It's an attack on the free will. Putin's not gonna win. You can't just take on the free world and win. He thought it'd be as simple as just marching through, but he must realize that it's just futile. And I really hope he just gives up and it stops, as Operator said, tomorrow, because that would just be the best outcome for everyone.
Yeah, most definitely. And I think it's had such a ripple effect on so many things. I mean, even like, like over here in the UK, like the cost of like living, like fuel, like, like the fuel like is gone ludicrous. And I think, obviously, probably with the situation, it's affected lots of countries, hasn't it, in so many ways you would never ever kind of think of that. And I didn't realize how many like Russian oligarchs were even in the UK, or how much what even an oligarch was. Never heard of that before. So I think it's highlighted a lot of different things.
Yeah, and I'm glad that people understand that it's Russian aggression to blame for those fuel prices and food crisis and stuff like that. Because yeah, if Russia hadn't started this invasion, nothing would happen. Nothing like that, I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely. And like, just random question: do you have any like kind of role models or anyone who kind of you look up to in general in life?
I think like Ricky Gervais. He's nice.
Yeah.
He's a legend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Carl
Pilkington.
exactly.
Yeah.
He's awesome. In my personal opinion, this dude is great.
He just says it how it is. He's very straightforward. He's like,
yeah. I like Ricky when he picks apart the celebrities at the Golden Globes Awards. I like rewatching that on YouTube. That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, Jason Statham. I mean, he's bald, and he looks good, and of course, he's more popular among women, among ladies.
Yeah.
Unlike me. No, I hope that I'm trying to, get as close to this image as I can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, they're good guys. They're funny, and I think they're not afraid to say things as it is. I think that's how you should be, isn't it? It's that freedom of speech, and I think that's one of the awesome things with the internet today, that we can do podcasts like this. You can post your your YouTube content and everything that you post, because I think like as well with that, did you think it would explode like it has, because you've got a couple of 100,000 subscribers on your channel and you've got such an array of content. Like, did you think it would blow up like it did? Did you think that?
Never in my life. Because the day I posted, I think the third video in English on my channel, I went to sleep having like 7,000 subscribers, and I woke up having 57,000 subscribers. I didn't think about about that, but actually I would prefer to be just unknown press officer of the National Guard, if if this war never happened. I honestly do.
Yeah, definitely. But it must be very, very reassuring, and it must be nice to have all that support, in the comments, and people supporting, Ukraine and the work that you do. Because you must put, you put a lot of time into, what you do. And I think it's, the footage you put out there is awesome. I watched one of them where you found like a drone, and you was taking it apart and looking at it, and visiting places.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't put enough effort into promoting my channel. I don't put enough efforts into informing people due to my other duties, because again, this is not the channel of Press Officer Starsky. This is my private channel that I use to bring people some kind of knowledge, some kind of experience, some kind of stories, interesting stories, facts, and finds that we have here on the front lines. And yeah, and that drone, it was hilarious. I mean, for the first time in my life, I saw this fuel tank made of plastic bottle. I'm serious. They made this fuel tank out of empty plastic bottle with and like not a single part in this drone was made in Russia except for its airframe. So yeah, the craziest thing, of course, was that when I saw that Canon photo camera stuffed inside, it was so hilarious. It was kind of genius, of course, but genius not in terms of creating like cheap drone that flies and does its tasks and stuff like that. But it was genius in terms of stealing plenty of money due to corruption in Russian army, and then making some kind of cheap drone that still flies and does its tasks. So yeah, it was genius from this perspective.
It just shows you how kind of like probably desperate they are really, you know, and to try and make something really. And like I sent Tom like these links, these videos, footage of like the tanks with the lids flying off. You know, it's absolutely nuts. Like
Yeah, I remember
the
seeing the explanation as to why the top of the Russian tanks come off. Is it because of the loading mechanism in the Russian tanks? Was it if you hit the tank, the top flies off? Operator Starsky, can you tell us a bit more about that, if you know, because my memory on it's a little hazy.
Not only because of loading mechanism, of course, Russian or rather Soviet-made tanks, they have their ammunition stored inside of their turret, but most of other tanks do. I mean, so it happens due to the detonation of their ammunition. So as soon as all that detonates, as soon as that explodes, it can literally turn this tank apart.
Yeah. Me and Adam have seen plenty of photos whereby obviously the Russian tanks are wrecked, but the turret is just so far like down the other end, just because it absolutely flies. Yeah, it's crazy, absolutely crazy.
And I can tell you that actually those turrets, they spend more time flying than Russian pilots. Actually, sad fact.
Yeah, it's
a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah, and yeah, it's incredible. I think, you know, like the amount of effort, you know, and the courage, I think, of the, you know, the Ukrainian people, and you know, the heart and the strength that, you know, you guys have, and you know, we're all with you behind this. We're all you know, standing behind you, and I think, you know, you do an incredible job, and you know, I hope it stops soon. And you know, I think, you know, you're doing an incredible job of everything that you do, you know, and as well as, you know, your YouTube and your content you put out. Yeah, I think it's I'm really grateful, you know, to have you on the podcast and, you know, be able to do this. And what we probably could do is, you know, do more of these and kind of break them down, and kind of do an ongoing thing. Would be a good idea if you're open to that.
Yeah, sure. So I decided to make more videos debunking Russian fakes because I've had a bunch of series dedicated to that back on my channel in Ukrainian, and I think that it's still gonna be available for foreign public as well, because Russians keep repeating their fakes over and over again, and I think that people should have at least some facts to be able to understand the origin of those fakes and understand how to debunk them as well. Yeah, I hope that it will be useful for our friends from other countries as well. And speaking of modern technologies and drones and stuff, just a second, I will show you something.
Oh, awesome.
Obligatory vape mid-podcast.
So
yeah,
it's like we've been thresh surfing with my friend the other day. We were surfing through those wrecks of Russian helicopters. In Hostomel, we have Mi-8 and Ka-52 that were shot down by our troops, guys from my brigade, back in February. And yeah, we're still finding random stuff. So the other day I was there with Denis Davidov. He is my idol, I swear. So I subscribed to Dennis like years ago, because he was a pilot, and yeah, and I was into all those aviation simulators. And yeah, I was subscribed to him for like years. And the day we decided to make this video together, it was like one of the happiest days in my life. So we were surfing through those wrecks of Russian Ka-52, and Dennis found a microchip that was made in China. And recently we were there with Christopher. He is a volunteer from Germany. Now he works together with me in my brigade. And we found this this microchip. I'm not sure if you can see it well, but it reads Philippines. So this one I found among the wrecks of Ka-52. I think that I will make a picture of it and drop it on my YouTube, as well as this one that was found. Not sure. Can you see it?
The sort of lights on it. Yeah, that's a bit better. Let's say.
Yeah. That's not Cyrillics, guys.
No.
Yeah. So I found this one among the wrecks of Mi-8, and Mi-8 actually is an kind of old Soviet helicopter that was made way back in 80s, something like that. So yeah, some amazing finds.
It's incredible, isn't it? Like, what you found, and I think like it just shows, because I saw some articles that they were getting things out of storage, out of deep storage, because they're just kind of running out, or just trying to use what they've had over the years. Even the weapon systems. I saw a video of some guys kind of thrown into a truck, these Russian soldiers or conscripts or whatever, and they had like really, really old weapons that you would kind of see in World War II game.
Yeah.
Kind of, so
yeah, it's true, and that's why all those sanctions that are placed on Russia in a long-term perspective, they are efficient, because like 90% of their parts were purchased abroad from other countries, from European countries, from Philippines, from Asian countries, and yeah, they simply cannot reproduce their airplanes, their tanks, because they don't have parts. And of course, they can expect China to sell them something at least, but China is not interested in helping Russia. China is interested in helping China, because they are more interested in saving those hundreds of billions of income that they receive from trading with the West, with Europe, rather than that less than 100 billions that they receive from trading with Russia. So yeah, and
they did a big deal with Russia.
Yeah, kind of. But again, we see that China is always interested in benefiting China, so to say. And that's why those sanctions that were placed on Russia, they are very, very effective. And we have yet to see just how much effective they are.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's interesting times, isn't it? And it'll be interesting to see what unfolds and what happens, and like the desperation of what with where they're at, and like as well, like where can people, like, just to kind of like wrap up this first part of our podcast, like where can people find your YouTube content, your Instagram, your social media, Starsky and Tom as well?
Like where?
Where can people find you, like your YouTube content, like your tag? Where can people search to find your content?
It's literally operator Starsky or War Hipster 69, and
I guess when
69
you have to
is a horoscopic sign of Cancer. It's not what you think, probably. Yeah, it's like operator Starsky. You can find me like anywhere.
Oh, that's awesome. Where can we find you, Tom? On Instagram or?
Oh no, that's right.
You okay? Oh, good.
just
I
make
can,
sure. Yeah, just make sure to tag Operator Starsky and everything.
yeah, definitely.
When you upload this.
Yeah, we'll do. All right. But yeah, no, it's been a pleasure talking to you, Operator Starsky. I'm sorry we've only got like an hour today, but we can definitely continue this and carry this on.
Thank you so much, my friends. Thank you for inviting me today. It was absolutely a pleasure to talk to you, and I hope that we will have some more podcasts together with you.
Yeah, definitely. You take care and all the best.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
You're welcome. No worries.